how did the specialist nature of your seasons develop?
I mean, some people will know, I grew up in an Italian family, and so, you know, and I went to this very interesting school, so I had an instinctive, I think it's almost genetic, but an instinctive attraction to hugely melodramatic, almost over-raw Italian opera, you know, particularly from the late school, you know, the Giovane Scuola, the Mascagnis and Chileas and Giordanos and all those sorts of, what they became known as Verismo, but very quickly wasn't Verismo. And so it was sort of in there anyway, and so when we started the company, I just had an idea that we should try and exploit this concept, a bit like the old Camden Festival, of doing rare operas by quite well-known composers, and then it became rare operas by not very well-known composers, but and that was kind of where it started. In '97 we did Mascagni's Iris, which was a great success, which we're now doing again in 16. So it's nice to see that back after nearly 20 years. So that's sort of how it just kind of began, and then it was like, you must keep doing it because, you know, that's what we like about you.
Yeah, gives you an identity.
It's what we do, yeah.
How do you manage to balance these rarities against more familiar works?
Gosh, I think there are several strands to this. You have to encourage the audience when you start doing it to try this stuff out, and you sort of come up with all sorts of tricks to do it. Interestingly, we could get very interesting and well-known singers to do the rarities, because the singers, you know, they do Toscas all over the place, but they don't often get to sing. So I remember Rosalind Plowright, who's currently singing in our Trittico, she did her first role back as a mezzo for us as Principessa in Adriana de Couvreur, and the following year did La Luciana, Mama Rosai. So she thought, great opportunity to sort of try this new, and then before you know it, she was doing Fricka at the Opera House, you know, such a great name. So it had a dual purpose, that sort of rarity. But you just make sure that you supply your audience with the stuff that they also know they want to see, which are the poems and all the other things. It's really, and all that's changing, you know, a bit. I think it's quite difficult sometimes to sell even popular works now. I think, you know, the audiences something very odd is going on in some respects in opera. So nothing is a guarantee almost anymore.
Right.
It's really interesting. And to some degree, people are only going to the pops now. They're not, oh, money's a bit tight, so I would have given that one a go, but I think I'll just stick with, you know, the Poem or the Tosca or something. So it's several, there's no one single issue, but it's some interesting things happening, which aren't all good, I don't think.